what I mean, let the games begin. Well, first of all, at the moment, I don't know, it's 10 o'clock I think. It's time to reset my brain. That's always what I'm doing. A day starts at 5:15. Today a little bit earlier, 4:15 again. The thing is simply because I cannot sleep. It's not about that I have some and some people say, like, who are in the label thing, yeah, you got insomnia and all that normal people bullshit. The thing is, also people who have actually insomnia go for 10-kilometer run. It's not enough dollar, do 20. Not enough dollar, do 100. So cured. Anyway, I'm just always excited about the next day. Today I didn't know that it actually is going to be this kind of weather, which is freakishly insane. Happy about it. Like I said, the project in Malta, the season starts, so I'm very excited about this. Excitement, plus also a little bit nervous, because, you know, when I don't perform, then I simply don't get paid. That's very easy. You know, I'm not like the usual, no, I don't even want to be categorized as such, but you know, I'm not like those people who strike up the fees. You have to pay me $1,500 or 1,500 euros and I'll create a website for you, and that's it. And then I kick you to the curb and I will only get back to you to strike up, I don't know what, maintenance bullshit. No, we all include this. And if I don't perform, I don't get paid. Simple. I think that also keeps you tip top, also keeps you on top of the game, and you always need to work on your knowledge, because you need to stay at least up to date. I don't want to say ahead of the game, because, you know, there's always somebody who is doing way much more and way much more better, or I don't know what. The thing is, I also said this a couple of live streams ago, just say in the mirror you're not good enough and be content with it, and that's it. I'm not good enough. Like I always say, then tomorrow I will think probably, what an idiot, why did you do it like this, why did you do it like this? You could have optimized that single second, or maybe even that single minute, or that 1 hour time frame that you actually spent on live streaming. But you know what, when it's about my vlogging thing, it has compounding effects, because I'm building simply a whole body of video content. And when people consider to work with me or build any kind of relationship, they can deep dive into my character, and there will be no surprises, because now that I'm pretty much only live streaming, I cut out the vloggings. You know, there doesn't, by the way, I want to say, that doesn't give me any space to edit things out, which I don't. Also, when it's about a vlogging thing, usually that just taking, I just take clips, so I record 15 minutes, because that is, why do I set it to 15 minutes time frames? Because then it gets automatically uploaded to the cloud and to the GoPro cloud, and they get placed in the albums. If they're longer than, I don't know how many gigabyte, then you cannot put them in albums, so you cannot organize very well. So useless information, but for me those details matter, because it's simply work structure. But I always place those. So for example, if I would have a 34-minute vlog, then those are 2 clips, no, 3 clips, 2 of 15 minutes and 1 of a few minutes, and I simply stick them together. I'm not editing things out to make things more exciting than they are. The thing is, my vlogs are for people who want to get out of the 9 to 5, who are willing to face reality, because that's another reason that I really also love to be here in Sofia, Bulgaria. I lived for 30 years in Holland, 5 years Malta, so I do have some sort of knowledge about society. And not only this, I also went all the way, all in, all out. let me also make that very clear. I lived a very colorful life. I'm not the one who takes over mommy papi's business or follows the structure of I can only live in that country and because I can get a job over there. No, we just go wherever the freak we want. And now at 47 I'm in the position to actually spend a good amount of time to start sharing the working structures, and I'm always hammering on the fact that it's working structures, not strategies. Strategies are simply placed out there to make you feel excited. Hey, oh, this is an interesting thing, because I'm always analyzing people, their courses, and yesterday I bumped into one so misleading. It was about in 3 days you can have it includes then market research, product creation, and creating traffic. Well, that is all fun. The cost of that BS package was $47. I didn't pay for it, but the thing is, I analyzed the prompts that are placed inside. And if you don't know what prompts are simply used to generate content with AI. I love AI, I'm gonna deny this, but of course they promote ChatGPT. Let's finish this talk a little first about this course. I went through those prompts. All those prompts, the content that they would spit out with ChatGPT are simply hyping up other people, their products. So if you would have bought that course, you would also produce similar content like this course. You hype people up, you charge a good amount of money, you sell the course if you're lucky enough, and then you actually build distrust, because people will see that there is not real value in it. So anyway, I analyzed those prompts. I'm not going to mention the course out of respect for anybody's earnings, business models. Like always, I don't have any emotional attachment to it, to anybody's behavior. I'm always observing and then try to give people a little bit value for free. So if you are planning to buy courses, feel free to reach out and ask me about it. I go through boatloads because people share stuff with me. They share a lot of stuff with me. I'm doing this for decades. And not only this, I'm not only checking people their content or courses or whatever. You know, I lived a very colorful life. That means in-depth relationships with people. And not only this, also in multiple countries, encountered tons and tons of multiple, how can I say this without offending anybody? People from specific countries. And yes, there are similarities when it's about characteristics, simply based upon hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of encounters with those people. Anyway, that's about the courses stuff. When you buy something, I think somebody charging $47 for some BS strategies that actually, I think you should consider your feelings. You know, when you read somebody's landing page, that is all fun. If you really feel a little bit hyped up, then you should not get into it. That's what I noticed. The greatest content out there focused on improving your life is for free. And it is out there. I'm not going to mention those names, but it is for free. The only thing is, and then it comes down again to structure. You know, how you consume it. You have to learn how to learn. Yeah, but I learned at school how to learn. No, you didn't. You just learned how to memorize. You're just a professional memorizer. And as far as I know, there are not a lot of people who are in the business of being a professional memorizer. Maybe there is, but I never heard about, I never encountered somebody who said, I am a professional memorizer and I can memorize everything. Of course, there will be probably some gig for you available, but I don't know. I prefer to be not in the memorizing business. Where was I? Today I'm a little bit messy in the head because I'm mentally preparing for an I don't want to say a sales talk, but another growth focused talk for a business. And like always, I'm always hyper focused on creating win-win situations. There's nobody who loses. How is that possible, Dylan? Well, simply if you watch my vlogs, I'm always focused on observing people, their behavior. So I'm absorbing people like a sponge, not leeching on them as a sponge, absorbing them as a sponge, their characteristics and the way they speak, the way they interact with each other, how they interact with themselves, how they interact with me, how they interact with people who don't directly benefit them. And those are nice things to observe. I'm obsessed with it. So, and I always use that kind of information with doing a lot of research on populations and everything. I'm simply obsessed with humans somehow, and I implement this in sales copy, sales pages, without creating hype. Like I said, if you consider to buy a course, I think this is another one. There is one forum on the internet, I'm not going to mention the forum, it's a big thing where marketers sell their strategy totally hyped up. They take screenshots from their earnings that the affiliates have made from their courses. So people resell their courses and they use those screenshots as earnings proof of their strategies. Those strategies are in general loopholes that temporarily plasters on the wound. I know I have tried tons of them and maybe 1 out of 10 worked, but also for a short amount of time. The things that I'm going to share more in depth are simply uncapped, evergreen, and are tested through time and are very human friendly. The customer is going to be happier, the people that you work with are going to be happier, and you, who is a little bit obsessed maybe later on with growth, is going to be very happy and live a life of fulfillment. That is simply my purpose for a few people on this planet, because you know, we all know most people don't want to grow. Most people like to stay cozy in front of the television and just do all the things in front of the television that you should not do, or at least don't want to have on your graveyard stone. I don't think that people won't have something like, he watched all the miniseries on Netflix. Woohoo! He or she was non-stop. Okay, we understand where this goes. I'm not gonna get into the 18 plus kind of language. Oh yeah, when it's about 18 plus language and a little bit more in depth about certain people from specific countries and or religions, it's going to be on Rumble. Because on Rumble I can speak realer than real, and not to spread around hate and or something. All the stuff that I'm sharing is simply for people who should become more aware of the dangers of life, especially when you get out on a 9 to 5. And the reason that I can speak like this, I lost a couple of times pretty much everything. I did lose my freedom, time and money, simply because I didn't have boundaries or filters that I have in place to keep multiple categories of people out of my life. It's necessary. It's simply necessary. Now, number one, I think now I have a good setup, but one of them is, even when they tell a little lie, even if it's tiny twisting of the reality, I just it's done deal. I lose my respect. I keep my respect, but I will see them as objects, and I just see them as study material. And not only this, I also hold back on providing value. You know, I always like to provide value, but if as soon as I see something that is totally impossible or whatever. There's also one, there's actually one particular guy in this neighborhood. Every time when I see him, and that is not so much anymore, but before, every time he needed to say something that could not even be possible, and then then I think, yeah, why are you doing this? See, for me, you become some kind of object of that I study, because that sounds very inhumane, but you know why? Simply, see, I feel always for people, and that is not good in the case of people when they making up things, because people with fabricated auras, fabricated realities, yeah, it's simply a very dangerous thing. And I had tons and tons of people like that around me. The moment that I did, or that I became a little bit more strict on it, that I'm also not emotional attached anymore, that I think, you know, in the past I always thought, yeah, okay, for now let's leave it, for now let's leave it, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Don't cut them out like cancer. That's my piece of advice. Cut people out like cancer. Sounds harsh, but now I really don't have any problems with that, because maybe it's also my age, but also the amount of experiences, and not only this, also the in-depth and severely got damage regarding time and everything. Time is the worst thing, and not only this, there's a yeah, people who are lying, you know, they simply also cowards. And it's not only because they deny the reality, but also when you get out of the 9 to 5, trust me, they will abandon ship the moment shit hits the fan. When things go bananas, they will, well, drop like flies out of the sky, away and out of your life. Trust me, been there, done that. And I also talked about it once before, when I lost everything when I was 30. Trust me, all doors were also all of a sudden closed. Well, they could always, pretty much everybody could eat everything what they want, drink whatever they want, and always knock on the door no matter what the time. See, that is all fun. And yes, I did enjoy it, but I could have saved a lot of headache. But anyway, if I would have saved myself from all that headache, I couldn't speak the way I speak, and probably also did not build the character that I do have now. But for you, the viewer, maybe a young viewer who considers to get out of the 9 to 5, it's good to listen to it, so you don't make the same mistakes, and you can actually focus more on your own mistakes, and not the mistakes that are caused by other people. And trust me, some things can go very quickly bad, very quickly bad. Not getting into this. And when it's about, I actually started this specific live stream, and I had one word in mind: forgiveness. And I think this is a good maybe moment to start about this. When it's about and those things what are so called, no, those things that happened to me, I don't have any emotional attachment. I grab the lessons from it with gratitude. So I'm also not emotional attached to anyone about anything. I made the mistake of letting them in my life, and on top of that, I didn't have any boundaries. So in the end, everything is my own mistake. Of course, you have to put stuff more in context, because when you talk with superficial people, and I had once a teaching talk of a guy in a suit. He said, everything that happens to you is your own mistake. Not true. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why. I spent a few weeks when I was young in an institution where young children were raped and totally messed up. I was on that department. I didn't get raped, but I was hyperactive and mentally unstable. But anyway, the thing is, those people did not deserve it. And when it's about those people, when I had a home in Holland, I still talked with them regularly, and those people were messed up, and really messed up, and they actually never mentioned the fact that they were messed up or have mental diseases, because people who have really things going on, they don't talk about it. So this is for all the people who say that they have all kind of mental diseases while they live with mommy and daddy, and or, you know, live a very ordinary mortgage life. Don't come up with that stuff, because it is simply not true. And when you start speaking on truth, well, you're setting yourself up for disaster. And I think where the disaster really pops up is when you're on your dying bed. If you fabricated a whole life at one point, because your life is already went through the drain after when you were 40, because, you know, nothing was going on anymore, you got a couple of screaming children, a spouse that you actually hate from the tippy of your toes, and then you actually start making up things to glorify everything. Well, that is danger. And I'm saying this with the best intentions, because I speak also with people who are above 60. They did stick with their spouse. They did stick with their self-employment business, rotting away. That sounds very negative, darling. Yes, but that's why I speak the way I speak, and I show you the surroundings the way I think that resembles or symbolizes real life. When you go to the gym or to the calisthenics spots and you put on those shoes, you put on your short pants or whatever you put on, maybe you go butt naked, nobody's gonna cheer you. Yeah, okay, maybe you can buy this personal trainer, but let's take also a very good look at those gold trainers. What do they want? Pure comfort. Are the shoes and everything is in the most perfect condition? You need scars, you need scarred up people. Those people that train you for resilience in life, not the ones that want to keep you cozy running on a rubber band. But anyway, never disrespect to those people who are conducting that kind of business. Good, but you want to build character. And I think we live in a time era where everything should be cozy and, you know, very safe behind your Android or Apple phone. I don't know what you're chasing these days. I don't know. But don't chase comfort. Do me a favor. Why would you do me a favor? I don't know. If you do yourself a favor of trying to build a character, you will live a way much more fulfilled life, and like this you serve your country better. Why? Well, simply when you get children, what do you think? They're gonna take over a lot of stuff from you. I see it with my own eyes. I don't have children, but I talk with so many people and they have boatloads of children, also multiple wives, you know, exes and blah blah blah. A lot of headache bringing children over back and forward, but you know, try to be an example instead of begging for improvement from the people around you. I know a lot of people say, ah, but those people are not good and this and that's not good. Well, did you set the standards? And this is another thing. Yeah, but Alan, I put in the work, but you know, it doesn't seem to work. Well, continue over and over and over. And if you failed 100 times, just fail another 1,000 times until it works. Simply, very simple. It's not easy to get out of this 9-to-5 rat race where most people run around in, and we all know this. At least me. I think, yeah, when you are rotten in this 9-to-5, you won't see it, but maybe when you listen to what I'm saying once in a while, maybe you become more aware of the people around you. Maybe you become more aware of your own feelings. You know, if your feelings are constantly negative, there is something wrong about your habits. and or your circumstances. If other people make you feel constantly feel negative, or that you have to defend yourself constantly, I think you should get the hell out of there. It took me multiple countries to find my spot in life. See, I'm adopted, so I never belonged to any race or any kind of society. I will never be a Bulgarian. I will never be a Dutch person. I will never be anything. But I'm content with this. That's why I live the life I live. A life of full freedom. Doing everything from the phone. Everything forced me. I got a phone call. Everything forces me, or forced me in the past, to run or walk this specific path that I'm now walking until the day I die. I just want to show people the way how to do everything from the phone, and I give everything away for free. My real intentions with this, well, a very tiny percentage of people will do something with this phone, this high-tech thing in their hands, and an even smaller amount will actually, you know, put in the real work, and even a smaller amount will, you know, hit a roof financially and or creativity wise, and then they will contact me. Well, that's a very long game though, but I'm not in a hurry. And in the meantime, I'm building a lot of trust with the people that I do have around me. I build a lot of trust with people who research me, and I build trust with people that I have the privilege of spending a little bit amount of time with, and my videos simply add up to the value that I speak about in those short amount of conversations that I have with those people offline. Anyway, forgiveness, and then I'm going to end this thing. I talked about also this guy in a suit who says everybody gets what they deserve. Totally not true. And I already said why, and I'm not going to mention it again. But when it's about forgiveness, once in a while, this same person also, who runs around in the suit, he talks about forgiveness, but in the meantime, he's also, and I'm not talking bad about religion, but he also talks a lot about religions, blah blah blah, and talks about forgiveness, and the whole combination, the whole package. The thing is, there is nothing in his life that has ever tested him out of the normality. Lived only in his own country, lived and operated only in one location, went a little bit outside the country, but that's it. But never, let's say it like this, never ever got arrested for anything. Does everybody needs to be or get arrested on a young age, and the last time that would be then when they're 40 plus, like in my case? No, that's not what I'm saying. But don't talk about or teach or preach about forgiveness when actually nothing ever tested your level of forgiveness. That is really my opinion about it. And I think the only reason that I get a little bit more, let's say, quote unquote, emotional about this is simply that those people inform, let's say, the younger people about forgiveness, or make them, I don't know what, tell them that they should forgive, but never can mention any kind of situation. Well, darling, can you drop in one situation that is pretty Spartan? I can. Once I lost more than 3 years of my life, and I forgave that person. I'm not gonna get into details because some things are still running. Like I always say, my adversities are way out of the normality. And of course, I always also keep in mind that there are people who have way bigger issues going on. And what I always thought about in my very wild days, I always thought about this, and I'm gonna mention a name, I never do actually, but you know, I saw this live on television about this Nelson Mandela guy, and 27 years in jail. That's what I always thought about. So I always try to find people who did outrageous, you know, performances. I call it the performance, because, and then still come out as an act as a saint. But anyway, we're not getting into this because I don't know all the ins and outs, but that is something what I always kept in mind, you know, when, for example, I got arrested or whatever, any kind of misery thing, I always found then one person who got it way much worse, and then I always think, yeah, we only live once, and I'm happy that I'm going through it. So I mentioned in this live stream the courses, most of them are BS, so be aware. So what I would suggest, when you read a landing page, you get excited because they hype up the strategy. I think you also should contact the creator and ask about, are you giving us also work structures, because most people don't. Because this is another thing, everything that I'm sharing, I'm doing this on a daily basis obsessively. Like I said, today my day started around 4, and now I'm taking a break. I'm gonna train, I'm gonna drink some mineral water because I really like that, simply because I want. Can I buy water in the supermarket, 10 liters? Yeah, I can, but I want to drink mineral water simply because I want to. So the courses, be very, I think another thing, when most course creators on those famous forums, they don't have any online presence. So if you would compare this with my stuff that I give away for free, thousands of videos, or a guy who charges $47 on one of those shitty marketing forums, charging a dumbass amount while they're making, according to the screenshots, millions, yeah, then there's something horribly wrong, right? Especially if you cannot find any kind of information about them. And of course, if you look at the LinkedIn profiles, it probably totally hypes up any kind of thing. But you should actually maybe put it like this: if you cannot find more than 100 videos where they speak real, not scripted BS, then you maybe could consider you know, to purchase something. But anything else, be aware of the person who preaches things, stuff that has never been tested, you know, like the guy who told me everybody gets what they deserve. No, not really. And I already said this, but because this is a live stream, I'm gonna say it again. I spent a few weeks with very difficult children, and a few of them were actually raped by people, and those people are definitely didn't deserve it. Let me tell you this. So that is all bullshit. And the guy who talked about forgiveness, whose level of, or his skill of forgiveness has never been tested. And when it's about my level of forgiveness, I am I got with nothing and nobody any kind of emotional attachment. When it's about called people who did me wrong, I simply allowed it because my lack of knowledge, my lack of boundaries, my lack of pretty much everything when it's about humans. And of course, I know my deep-rooted thing, and I'm gonna say it as it is. You know, I'm adopted. People like me, we're always looking for some sort of confirmation. You know, I also did boatloads of alcohol and drugs simply to fill up a gap. But that gap will never be filled up. That is reality. Am I a sad little puppy who talks about, oh, I'm so sad that I'm adopted? No, not at all. Not at all. I am more than grateful for the people who did adopt me, who fed me, who gave me, I said, some good amount of lessons. Anyway, besides that, that's another reason that I will also, you know, never give up. Because times that I lost everything, and also at times that I was sitting on a bench, not in this country, you know, outside, everybody goes to bed, you know, the streets start to get empty, and I always thought, if they would look at me sitting at this bench, they wouldn't be angry at me, but if I would give up, then they would be very disappointed, and then they actually sacrificed time, money for fucking nobody, and that's not gonna happen. Anyway, that's my personal view on a lot of stuff. I'm gonna cut it because my fingers are a little bit freezing and the sun is disappearing. Maybe it's coming back, I don't know. Let's see. Let's dive into the crowd over there. It's again busy, I can see it. Maybe I will just put the camera over here in the pocket and we'll just walk around, and you can maybe join me, and maybe I will start talking again randomly. But you know, I prefer actually to do it in portrait mode with the phone, so I'd get notified or dropped in the news feed, shorts news feed. Anyway, let's cut it now. I want to walk. I also need to pee again. We're over here again in the Holy Trinity Park, Sofia, Bulgaria. Within a few months the weather is gonna be great again. But you know what? Again, no wind, which is always a great thing when it gets windy or is windy. And it's very quickly way much more colder. And you know what? You can see it, huh? There are no leaves anywhere on the tree, so I'm thinking, see, normally that's my peeing spot. Now I'm going over there. There's nobody.